So we're going to have the last panel of the day in the LAC Future Room. We're going to have Jamaica open to business. We're going to have opportunities for alliances and investment. For this panel, we're going to have Oscar Avalle, representative of CAF in Salvador, who will be the moderator of this session. We are now going to have over here the Ministry of Industry Trade in Jamaica, Shullette Cox, president of the corporation in Jamaica, Kelli-Dawn Hamilton, executive director of the Special Economic Zone of Jamaica. Welcome. We're going to pass the floor to Oscar Avalle.
This is, can you hear me? I know this is the last, or we should be discussing, one of the most important situations in which, how can we ensure that we provide this, the support and the help, a wonderful country that's open for business. And let me share with you an image that yesterday we shared with the Prime Minister. In the midst of the hurricane, you could see a Jamaican flag waving and showing everybody, this is not going to destroy us. On the contrary, we are going to come out of this stronger. And in that sense, is that CAF is supporting with not only this event, but also with technical assistance, financial support, and of course, our emotional support, the efforts of Jamaica to be open for business. In this sense, I would like to thank the Honorable Minister, Aubyn Hill, Minister for Industry, Commerce, and Foreign Trade? Investment. I always get these names wrong. I'm sorry for that. To participate here, Ms. Shullette Cox from JAMPRO, who is going to be opening the session, and Ms. Kelli Hamilton, the CEO of the Special Economic Zone for Jamaica, to participate in the event. Ms. Cox, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Oscar. And let me thank you and CAF for giving this opportunity to talk about Jamaica and the fact that we are, in fact, and will always be open for business. Let me first recognize my minister, the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator the Honorable Aubyn Hill, as well as my Minister of Finance and Public Service, the Honorable Favour Williams, who is in the audience. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Shullette Cox, and I'm the president of the Jamaica Promotions Corporation, which is Jamaica's investment and export promotion agency. And it's really a privilege for us to be here at this CAF event to talk about Jamaica. What we've seen as a Jamaican delegation over the past 2 days across Latin America and the Caribbean, that offers an unprecedented opportunity for us to tap into a market that over the last decade, Jamaica has built a strong economic, political, and business focused foundation that makes us the right partner for businesses. Under the visionary leadership of who we call our business minister, Senator the Honorable Aubyn Hill in Jamaica, we are committed to unlocking growth, not just for our country, but for the businesses that decide to call Jamaica home. The fact of the matter is that we have, in recent months, been reminded that the climate-related vulnerabilities faced by small island states like Jamaica is real. And it has reinforced a very important truth that resilience is not only necessary, it presents an opportunity. Yesterday, our Prime Minister conveyed the intent of our recovery. Jamaica is not merely recovering, but we're building forward stronger. We're intentionally aligning reconstruction with long-term development priorities, strengthening our infrastructure, accelerating our options for investments, creating opportunities. And so it gives me pleasure to talk to you about why Jamaica. The first and perhaps most compelling reason to do business in Jamaica is grounded in enviable geographical location, not just in the Caribbean, but in our entire Western Hemisphere. We like to say in Jamaica that if a ship comes out of the Panama Canal, it's bound to run right into Jamaica. That's exactly where we are. And it also means that by air, we're very connected to both North America and South America. And you couple that with the fact that we have almost 1,000 flights per week across 39 airlines and 3 airports. You can start to the connectivity that Jamaica has by air. And by sea, we have over 250 port calls on average from 25 shipping lines on a monthly basis. And I think most compelling for that proposition is the fact that we're one of the very few ports in the region that can host post-Panamax vessels. That means vessels that are carrying 14,000 TEUs can dock in Jamaica. And a lot of them do as we grow as a transshipment location. A fundamental pillar of our attractiveness is also our consistent economic growth and strong performance through disciplined reforms, prudent governance, and strong partnerships. And I'm going to leave my minister to talk a lot more about the economic fundamentals that our country has achieved over the last decade. The third pillar is our workforce. And Jamaica is 70% a services industry. And what that means is that it depends strongly on our people and the trainability of our people and the strength of our education. One of the things that the government has done is worked very closely, not just through our formal education systems, but through our vocational and national training institutes to make sure that our education and our training programs are responsive to the business needs of our investors we have today. Another tenet of our strength is our long-standing commitment to the business and investment community. From as early as the 1980s, Jamaica removed foreign exchange controls. We have no restrictions on the repatriation of profits, no restrictions on the movement of capital, and we allow investors, regardless of their nationalities, to own land and other assets in the country. It may seem very simple, but the ability to access your money when you want to is very important. And that predictability is very important. This commitment to supporting businesses is grounded in the government's unwavering principle that it is businesses that grow an economy, not the government. In fact, one of the things that we're very proud of is the fact that regardless of the administration, that's the belief system of our government. And then the last thing to mention is our incentive structure. In 2013, the government did a very careful review of our incentives in Jamaica. And out of that, we now have employment tax credits that lower our corporate income tax rate from 25% to 17.5%. We have an amazingly excellent stock market that has a junior stock exchange that provides 50% discount on taxes due to government. We provide duty-free entry for raw material, capital equipment, and tools for trade across some of our priority sectors of agriculture, manufacturing, entertainment, and health. And that is also used for tourism industry. Most recently, our Minister of Finance has also put in place one of our newest incentives, our large scale and projects and pioneering industries act, that creates an incentives for large projects to come to Jamaica, as well as projects that are using new technology or new processes, so that as we grow, we're also encouraging the transfer of knowledge and the transfer of technology to our country. But perhaps one of our most attractive incentives is our special economic zone regime. And for that reason, the CEO of the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority will speak about that. And so within this context, JAMPRO is proud to play a pivotal role in Jamaica's National Investment and Export Promotion Agency. We offer a full suite of investor services designed to handhold an investor throughout the investment process and essentially make starting and doing a business in Jamaica seamless and efficient. These include guidance on incentives, site selection support, coordination with government agencies, and we have a very rigorous escalation process that involves my minister if an investor hits against any roadblocks, to unhinge any challenges and remove bureaucracies that investors may encounter. And once you're established, we don't leave you. We had an investor asked us recently, at what point does JAMPRO exit the life cycle of an investor? And we say we never do. You are stuck with us once you start working with us, because then we see every new investor as a potential expansion project. And we want to make sure that whenever you come to that point of thinking about whether or not you want to expand, we're right there to help you again. But what are some of the opportunities that exist? Of course, everybody knows about Jamaica's tourism product. And that's perhaps the easiest one, because in a country of 2.8 million people, 2 years after the pandemic, when most people's tourism industry has shut down, Jamaica had almost 3 million tourists visiting our island, plus 1.3 million cruise ship passengers, generating 4.4 billion in revenues. And that continued to increase in 2024 and into 2025. Right now, I think Minister Johnson Smith, or Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, spoke about it this morning. We are at 80% recovery already post Melissa. 80% of our rooms are already reopened, with the rest scheduled to reopen the rest of this year. And we still have 8,000 new rooms that are planned or under construction for the next 3 to 5 years. So our tourism product remains a strong opportunity for any investor. Then we have our global digital services and technology industries. With over 50,000 employees, we're not a country that is focused on growing at the lower end of the industry with call centers and mere tech support, but we've been expanding into fintech and AI and knowledge process outsourcing. And we also have a strong IT outsourcing product that is looking at cybersecurity and digital management and other areas. I would not do Jamaica justice if I did not talk about agribusiness. From our coffee to our rum to our cocoa to our dried tea leaves, what we have sought to do as a country is to build on the basic resources of our agriculture and industry to create niche value-added products that are not only ready to go out into the world through exports, but they're exposed to our tourists. So half of the time, you're talking about products that have already established a market at home before they're going out. And so, distinguished friends and partners, the opportunities are clear. They're inviting and they're unprecedented. Jamaica offers stability, talent, strategic location, and an investment framework that is of an undeniable brand and quality. And so we ask two things of you today. One, be ready to explore the potential of investing in Jamaica's high growth sectors. And two, connect with us at JAMPRO, whether by visiting our website, dobusinessjamaica.com, or with me here, and let's talk a little bit more about how you can do business in Jamaica. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to invite now Kelly Hamilton, CEO of the Special Economic Zone, to provide us an overview of how the Special Economic Zone has been structured and how this wonderful and extremely innovative exercise can open up additional investment opportunities for us.
Thank you very much, Oscar. It is indeed a pleasure to be here. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank CAF at my voice, as Shullette did, for inviting us to this event. It has been an exciting time, not only because we're seeing friends that we would have partnered with, such as yourself, Martine, and a number of other persons across the region, but we also would have met new opportunities through persons and companies that are interested in doing business in Jamaica. The special economic zone regime in Jamaica is not new, or Jamaica's had a long history with incentives going back as far back as in the 1970s. So it is not a new space for us, Oscar. But what we have done in the past 10 years is to refine the regime so that it is modern, it is agile, and it is adaptable. And if we have learned anything in the past 3 to 5 years, what we have learned is that we have to be modern, agile, and adaptable. And so Jamaica is just that. So Shullette spoke about the opportunities, and what this special economic zone regime provides is that gas, I like to call it the gas in the vehicle, that gets it going through the incentives. So in Jamaica, some of the incentives or the headline incentives that we provide through the SEZ, a lower corporate income tax rate, you're paying a headline rate of 7.75% in our regime, 0% duties on goods and services imported for use into the zone, and 0% value added tax on goods and services purchased for use in your zone. So we provide that grease to get business going. The theme of this session is Jamaica open for business, and as Shullette said, we never closed. We have been open, we remain open, and we welcome all to come into our SEZ regime and to come into Jamaica, because the truth of the matter is that the SEZ is for a specific type of business. And there was a session earlier in the day that spoke about SEZs, so I think many people are familiar with it. But just to give you a little history of the performance of our zones in Jamaica, currently we have 104 companies operating as special economic zones in Jamaica. Our regime is a little different in that the private sector is the one that determines where a zone can be located. So we don't have any one space from which you must operate. If your business requires you to be by the coastline, that is where you will be. If it requires you to be in the center of commerce, that is where your zone can be established. So we really, when we say adaptable, we really are adapting to the needs of the private sector and to what it is that drives business decisions. Now, across our country, currently, the 104 companies are operating across 235 locations. And we are seeing an uptick. Shullette spoke about industries of opportunity. Logistics is a major opportunity for us in Jamaica. Warehousing, storage, transshipment. And, in listening to my colleagues from Latin America and the Caribbean, it may sound as though we're selling the same things, and it may sound as though we are competing, but the truth of the matter is that we have to compete. We have to work together, find our areas of comparative advantage, and sell those. So that is why partnership is critically important for us at the Special Economic Zone Authority. We're up here with JAMPRO. We work very closely with JAMPRO. And of course, we are led by our Minister of Business, who has energetically driven us through how many countries, Minister? We have been all over the place with our Minister at the helm, leading us, carrying businesses. At this forum, we have business people here on the ground as well. And the reason is that Jamaica has taken an approach where we drive business and we take business to connect with other businesses, because that is how we're going to grow our economy. So for us at the SEZ, it is about partnership. It is about providing the incentive landscape that makes it cost effective to operate. We are open for business. You can find us at jseza.com, at the JSEZA. That's our social media handle. And we're here on the ground, and we can share more information about our regime. Now, I spoke about the leadership under our Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator the Honorable Aubyn Hill. Minister Hill, boy, you know, Minister, energetic is not the right word to describe our minister, who if you see minister running up the stairs, that's the norm. Our minister's energy is not only infectious, but what it has done, it has led us into a new way of doing business. And the truth of the matter is that is a reflection of the entire government of Jamaica and how we operate. Digitalization, transformation, innovation are the bedrock of how we operate in Jamaica. But let me tell you a little about my minister before I open for him, before he takes the mic. Minister has over 35 years of experience operating in the private sector as an international banker. He has lived in 9 countries and done business with over 125. He has an MBA from Harvard Business School and spent 21 years as a banker in the Middle East. In 2002, he led the management team which completed the successful turnaround of one of the largest banks in the Caribbean, the National Commercial Bank. And in 19 months, Senator Hill would have moved NCB's stock price from $5.51 when he joined to $31.70. So our minister is a man of action. And after the Andrew Holness administration was returned, or in a landslide election victory, Minister Hill joined the cabinet in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. And then again, in the reshuffling of the cabinet, Minister Hill was returned as Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce with responsibility for 20 agencies. Minister Hill has a firm interest in facilitating, enabling, and encouraging small and large Jamaican businesses to grow, create good Jamaica jobs, and be profitable. His focus is on growing exports exponentially and securing local and foreign direct investments into the Jamaican economy. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator the Honorable Aubyn Hill.
Thank you very much, Kelli-Dawn and Shullette. But really, ladies and gentlemen, when Jamaica can have 2 heads of agencies, 2 women of that caliber, you need to give them a round of applause. You know, it's my great pleasure to be talking about Jamaica after 10 years of leadership by our Prime Minister, who you heard 2 days ago, the Honorable Andrew Holness. Prime Minister took over the economy when it was on its knees. When economists wrote about Jamaica at the time, it was it's a basket case. And that was charitable in their view. In about 7 years, we changed that. And by the 8th year, we were seen as the poster child as to how not to get athletes to run and break world records. We did that. Not to have the best song, pop song of the last century, One Love. We did that. But how to take a non-oil producing economy and turn it around into a growth and positive economy that people across the world respect and couldn't believe it would happen. You couldn't believe that in 7 years or so, you could change a debt to GDP from 135 to 60%. 60% was about where it was before Melissa arrived. And although that's a hiccup, we're going to fix that too. But I remember Prime Minister Holness campaigning because we have a very robust democracy in Jamaica. It's something that I want you to recognize as a huge asset of Jamaica. One prime minister, we go to election. If Shullette is prime minister, and you'll understand why I'm choosing Shullette. Shullette is prime minister, and she calls an election, and she loses. The next morning, I take over. That's how we do it. No interregnum. No nonsense about you have to recount 15 times. No, no, no. You lost. Out of Jamaica House. The next prime minister is in. And we've done that every single time since independence. In fact, since before independence. So we have a strong political democracy that you should value when you're investing. Why? Because in our system, we make sure we made the central bank independent. And that was done 4 years ago. And the business community, they were on my back. Why are you doing this? What's going to happen to the currency? I said, you don't worry about the currency. We're giving the central bank one mandate. Fix the currency. The Federal Reserve, they have two. You must make sure you look after employment, and you must make sure you control inflation. Well, we say to our central bank, you only fix inflation. We got elected to run the country, and we will fix unemployment. Unemployment is at the historical lowest it has ever been in the country, 3.3%. And we don't have oil. Not only do you bring in money and you get it in easily, but importantly, if you want to take your dividends and investment out, there are no restrictions. That's unusually strong in our region. And we're very proud of it, and it works well. And the currency has remained stable over that period of time, whether it was COVID-19 or Hurricane Beryl or Hurricane Melissa. We manage it well. So you have an economy that is used to good governance and is used to good turning out results. So when Melissa came, of course, we were hurt. People are hurting, but we're fixing it because we know how to go about fixing an economy. And yes, CAF was in there, and IMF, and the Caribbean Development Bank, and IDB, and the World Bank, and they say, here, $6.7 billion. You look after the fixing of your physical structure. We didn't have to write any paper because our performance said that we were worthy of it. And you think we weren't? 3 weeks or a couple of weeks later, the 3 rating agencies either moved our rating up positive or positive to stable, and In fact, Moody's increased our rating, improved our rating after a Category 5 hurricane and without enough time to rebuild. In other words, they're saying to us, the same government is in, we've seen you change, we are willing to upgrade your bond even before you have the chance to fix that economy. Now, if that's not a credit for how you perform and why the international financial institutions would give us that money, I don't know what it is. But that's the picture. One last big picture item. When the Prime Minister was campaigning, he said, look, I want you to be able to leave your doors and windows open. They thought he was absolutely mad because all of you, time has seen this streaming at the bottom of CNN saying that Jamaica is a place that is risky to go to. Well, listen to this. 3 years ago, we reduced the murder rate in Jamaica by 9%. The year before last, we decreased the murder rate by 19%. Last year, we decreased the murder rate to 42%. I challenge you, it's only President Bukele can stand up, can lead. They beat us. They still beat us in the way they have reduced their murder rate. But boy, we're running behind them. And you know we can run. We're going to make sure, you're going to make sure that we win or equal that race. And we have the highest regard for President Bukele. So, you know, Jamaica has that good story, but they're in good investment opportunities. Guyana has declared 11 billion barrels of oil. Suriname, 1 billion of barrels of oil coming on stream in 18 months. Guyana is on stream. We know where Venezuela is probably going to go. We know that Texas and Louisiana, they do oil services. There are people across the world who want an environment like ours. Strong legal and clear judicial and strong ways of taking your money in and out. Jamaica is a perfect place. We want to be that logistics hub that will take goods from all over the world, including Panama, break it down, send it to Guyana, whose port is not nearly as deep as ours. In fact, the United States ships come to Kingston, unload part of their cargo because they generally have a draft of 9 meters. We have 14 meters, and we're going to build 2 more ports like that. But we need investors, so the invitation is to come to a country that is well run, currency is free, strong legal system that takes you up to the Privy Council in London, and people who are able to be trained, as Shullette tells you about. And when you come for your investment, you heard Shullette. She and her team, about 100 people, hold your hands and make sure you're properly invested. You must come to Jamaica. Oscar, it's over to you.
After those words, Minister Hill, what else can I say? I would say at this point, the only thing I can really say is that it's clear that that Jamaican flag that we saw in the midst of the destruction is not only waving strong, it's waving stronger than ever. And it's up to you as investors to take the advantage and the opportunity and seize the opportunity to actually really come to Jamaica, take advantage of the wonderful economic and financial environment you're facing, and show and see that Jamaica is open for business. So, Minister Hill, Shullette, Kelly, thank you very, very much. And of course, the Honorable Minister of Finance, of Jamaica who was here with us and is basically one of the people in charge of that miracle of reducing from 130% to 60% the foreign debt, something that nobody believed that would be possible. And I can attest to that. You did a miracle. And Jamaica is open for business and will continue to be open for business. And I invite all of you to come. Thank you very much.
And before we leave, I just want to say a heartfelt thanks to CAF, President, Oscar, Stacy, the CFO. They've all been very gracious to the Prime Minister and us, and they're a great partner. And we're looking for building partners from Panama and elsewhere. And we're not going to have to search and find for the money. We can find the $20 billion that will be needed over the next 3 to 5 years to build out Jamaica back to a much more resilient place. And we're glad that people like Oscar and Stacey Kennedy and CAF will be in our corner partnering with us. Thank you so much.